All right, Section 6, Maintenance Inspection. This is an electrical equipment by WHITCOMB for a diesel electrical locomotive. It's 1943, but I still find it relevant. Westinghouse diesel electrical equipment. Maintenance inspection. And well, here we go. For successful operation self-propelled equipment, the maintainer should be thoroughly familiar with the apparatus and following definition inspection schedules. The engineer should be familiar with the purpose of the apparatus, normal operation and limitations, and the proper method of operation. Only qualified men should be handled with the equipment without supervision. An adequate supply of the protecting parts should be kept on hand with the operating company. The Westing Company supplies apparatus due for the instruction maintainers and the part of the information for the order necessary equipment. The instructions are resultant for the experience with many different equipments or for the guidance for the operating company. Local operating conditions will govern the maintenance of work and frequently happens with the scheduled maintenance that can be performed, but the equipment is out of service due to the operating conditions as a wheel turning or some other such causes of the carefully fully arranged maintenance of the schedule resulting in the efficiency with available to eliminate useless work with the combined work of the inspections when possible, but it's not neglects essential work at the proper time, and the following recommended schedules will sufficient experiences obtained to justify the change. All right, inspection schedules. These schedules indicate the work that should be done on the equipment necessary data and the detailed information on the apparatus contained with the instruction and individual equipment elsewhere in this comp book. It is recommended that the customer give particular attention to all parts of the equipment in place in the service in order to ensure the successful operation that maintains to become familiar with the equipment. An inspection should be as follows: Class A daily or during the refueling periods. Class B 1,500 miles on the cars and 150 hours on switcher locomotives. Class C 600 miles on cars and 600 hours on switcher locomotives. And Class D 18,000 miles on cars, 1,800 hours on switcher locomotives. At Class E, 54,000 miles on railway cars, 5,400 hours on switcher locomotives. And Class F, 10,000, 180,000, 108,000 miles on the rail cars and 10,800 hours on the switch locomotives. With the operating at the 30 miles per hour, the schedule, it will be noted the inspection periods are at 500, 200, 600, 1800, 3600, and with the grades on traveling, the period traveling loads can schedule the lower than 30 miles per hour. The hourly basis for the railway cars should be used instead of the mileage basis. To obtain the best equipment for the maintenance of the maintenance program should be definitely laid out with the following best arrangement and inspection. The particular piece as at a different time, the little time of the out of service will be required except for the Class E for the heavy overhaul records that should be kept and to ensure all pieces of receiving proper attention. 6. The oil engine and mechanical electrical shipments separated with the schedule simplified. The instructions, maintenance instructions for the engine should be procured from the engine builder. General, daily reports by the operator serve the only means for the identification of the proper function of the equipment. These reports should be thoroughly and required for every man regularly operating the unit. Repeat should be covered with any special features of the notice, such as air leaks, the type of the brakes, and proper function of the meters, gauges, usual engine noise, the exhaust leak is exhaust apparatus, oil leaks, and lubricated oil had added any work done, and engine oil, oil and water temperatures maximum and average, lubrication, oil pressure for idling and full speed traveling, loading, engine cylinder temperature of the pyrometers are required, are installed, etc. As reports are available, each of the items should be filed with the maintainer in trouble to remedy immediately with the abnormal variations of the engine water, oil temperature, quantities of the oil used, engine noises, exhaust pipes overheating, and the excess current and fish overs, etc., and should be investigated at once. While formally submitted here is only the guide for the operating of the company to follow the preparing the schedule adapted with the particular operating conditions, making the proper reports for the maintenance man. It is also believed that in this form they follow it out with closely with the operating company of the course will make its own blanks forms on the official paper. The successful operation internal combustion engines equipped that depends on its too great extent of the immediate correction, little troubles, and if done with the overall expense of the maintenance will be low. This is an equipment of the engine daily equipment number, the service date, and total hours to reverse mileage, yard miles, trailers, gallons, fuel, oil, gas, lubricated oil, gallons, fuel, oil added during the day, gallons, lube, oil added during the day, maximum temperature jacket, water temperature jacket, water maximum temperature, oil, average temperature. Jacket oil equipment definitions, time and cost. Check the following. Okay, if or not, the all cylinders firing properly. Stated the engine lubrication, oil pressure, idling speed, and full speed. Check the color, exhaust, black or blue, gray, or colorless. Exhaust system is satisfactory condition. The reporting of the abnormal temperature under the remarks. The report exhaust temperature of the pyrometers are used. If anything, unless the car's apparatus trip, the complete statement single must be made on the other side of the sheet from under the remarks sign. Engineer. Also above the edge adjustment repairs have been exempt as noted by the sign maintainer. Here's another picture. All right, your Class 1A inspections. Correct items engine and report necessary for the check of the battery's new equipment until the data indicates if the change of the correct with that afterwards often necessary does not change the ratio the rate of the keeping the battery overcharged. The abnormal deterioration of the battery will be result of excessive use of the water usually indicates overcharging. Check the supply with the replacement fuse, check the motor engaged, etc. Ensure the proper function. Leave no loose rags, especially waste on the engine room as this may cause the catch or rotating apparatus going to the generator. When the trainer control is used, it may be necessary to test the grounds daily. Check all the lights. Class B inspection electrical apparatuses. Do work on the under the Class A inspection necessary. In addition, see a section of the traction motor for lubrication bearings. If necessary, apply the lubrication compound traction motor airs. Check the oil level for the air compressor motor if used, and flush the batteries as necessary. Your Class C electrical apparatus do work under the Class B inspection as necessary. In addition, with the traction motor, check the bearings, wear, and the use of the air gaps for the armature bearings, failures, and the axle bearings. Measure the armature and play where the anti-friction armature bearings are used. The bearings wear and play need to be checked. Remove all the brushes and holders. Clean the brush and holders. Examine the end of the side wear. Remove the necessary. Check the brush tension. Inspect the armature field weldings, windings, and the indication of the oil, excessive dirt, corrective the cause of the oil getting in the motor. Examine the motor leaders inside the outside of the motor and for the shafting, correct the insulation belt being damaged in any of the way, replacing the damaged leads. After the blowout of the motors, cleaning the dry air using the care not to damage the insulation within the jet set. The drain holes are open. Wipe out the heavy dirt within the motor. Use the rags not only to not waste an electrical apparatus. Locate the operation conditions with the governs frequency of the cleaning the motors. Clean the motor communicator wiring insulation at the end of the communicator. Place it in the first class condition with the shell lacking if necessary, and tighten the axle bolts if necessary. See the all motor cover the bolts are tight, and then note that one the motors are approved in the summer and winter covers. Do not forget to change covers in with the season number 15th, November 15th, and April 1st is approximately. On the motors with the suspension, examine the suspension clearance and wearing condition of the spring retaining plans. Clean the motor frame and the stop of the holes, then make a permitting oil to get the motor of the engine room. Alright, to the generator, auxiliary generator, do the same for the motors where they're in instruction apply. Inspect all the connection of the terminal board, tighten all the coupling and the connecting bolts and such. 3. Compressor motor and governor when used. Do not do the same as the motor of the generators would be above the instruction. Apply with the air gap of the gauge for determining the bearing wire. Inspect and clean the tighten connections if necessary to smooth the contact with the compressor governor and check the setting. Check the insulation. Renew the necessary for the blower motor when used. Do the same with the generator when the instructions apply. 5. Auxiliary motors such as the oil clarifier and fuel pumps, heating system, etc. does not same as the other rotating apparatus while instruction applies. 6. Control apparatus. Tighten all the connection apparatus with the necessary terminal boards of the control of the thermostat, switches, blower switches, the junction boxes, resistor regulators, etc. See that all the connections are securely locked. Test the ground and control rotating apparatus. Clean all apparatus, panels, controls, etc. with a clean, dry wiping out heavy, dirty accumulations. Clean all the main contacts with the switch and contactors. Inspect the adjusting interlockers necessary with all the apparatus to improve the wiping and the operation. To renew the contacts and interlockers that will not last in the next Class 6E inspection. Clean all the segments, reverser, controller, switch, and interlockers, etc. Examine lubrication linkage of the throttle mechanism. Remove the excessive looseness. Clean all the parts and inspection all the connections. Check the tension and pressure. Check fingers in the segments. All apparatuses such as controller, reversers, main interlockers, switch interlockers, etc. Where the lamp regulators are used, inspect all the connections, renew the broken, burned carbon, measure the regulations often practiced in the standard, tighten all the nuts and connections with a torque governor and other loading regulated devices, tighten all the nuts and connections, see that the springs are securely locked, replace badly worn contacts, see the contacts in the proper position, examine the control air valve piping, the switch of the reverser and throttle mechanism, leak with brakes, etc. See that the contact springs and on all switches are adequate, given the good contact pressure. 7. The compressor test the pump according to the Interstate Commerce Commission rules and necessary. Check the governing device and oil is as necessary. Class D inspection. Perform work on Class D inspection necessary in addition with the generator, the grease bearing with the proper lubricant. If the tube of the grease that has been added, it will be necessary to wipe off the excessive grease accumulated with the machine, boiler, motor. When used, grease the bearing with the proper lubrication. Control check the sequence of the switch operation. All right, your Class D electrical inspection, electrical apparatus. Performing the work Class D inspection is necessary in addition with the control testing. The grounds all resistors should be examined carefully with the burns, breaks, and renewal and necessary. Testing the switch to reduce the voltage to ensure that operating with a lower temperature or with low battery. Test all the battery coils to determine the maximum voltage drop across the battery that's starting the engine. If the voltage low, determine the cells which should be replaced. If you see the fingers of switches, controllers do not over travel the segment due to the wear to the stoppage contacts or other parts of the axis. Ensure the correct operation of the next Class D inspection. Use the few drops of 3-179 oil on all lubricated leather pistons, electro-pneumatic units of the reverse line with the switches and throttle mechanisms reset with the engine trip, etc. Inspection operation. Those units ensure the proper fastening. C. 2. The traction motor. Section into the traction motor with the lubrication of the bearing, the dismounted with the gear case with the dust guard. Check the thrust for the remedial wear of the axle bearing. Check all the backlash of the gears and renew all the worn shaft oil loads inside and outside the motor. 3. Compress the motor. The oil should be the proper grade, but the winter or the summer oil should be changed twice a year. 4. The battery. Observe the instruction of the battery manufacturer overall the battery. Moving on to Class F inspection, the electrical apparatus inspection. Due to all work listed in the previous inspection, following the additional work. Traction motors. Remove the truck to check the radial and total and play all the loud the armature bearing of the dismantle of the motor and check for each of the play at each end of the armature bearing of the sleeve. The type to determine where the maximum wear is on the shaft. Thrust surface the wearing throughout the surface in this correction with this tight detail will bring the clearance to the reasonable tolerance. For a ball or roller bearing motor, see the instruction for the motor section of this book's bearings should be renewed, but they will not last to the next heavy overhaul. True shaft grind journal surfaces do not next standard unit size necessary to install new shaft is necessary to reduce the journal diameter as much as 3/16 of an inch below the standard. Install new oil through the communicator thrust ring in any pinion if necessary to do the wear for the sleeve of the type of the armature bearing. C. Inspect the armature bearings replaced with the clearance, but the condition will not permit the operation until the next Class E inspection. Do the same with the axle bearings. Use the shim on the new axle bearings. D. Clean the armature bearings housing and check the leaks for the casting tightness in the bearing shell condition, grease, oil filling pipes, and do the same with the axle caps. E. Replace the brush box and wear of excessively new springs. Contact with the tip of the shunt for the necessary. Check all the parts of the tightness. Check the box assembly for the correct alignment. Renew the brush holder insulator with the insulation necessary. Note that the clearance between the brush holders and the communicator should be checked even when the brush holders are not removed from the frame. But see the section for the traction motor with the required clearance. F. Remove the field coils. Number to remove. Clean the throttle back of the bacon. Dip with the cover of the air dripping varnish. G. Clean all the parts of the frame that resemble the field. The coils. Install new wiring around the frame as necessary. Test the polarity of fields. H. Install new exterior motor leads bushing as necessary. Overhaul the old covers as necessary. J. Secure external lead cleats and frame adequately. Inspect the communicator mica installation. Replace the communicator if necessary. Tighten the communicator. Resurface the old communicator under the cut mica. Cleaning the armature thoroughly with the reband necessary. After cleaning and inspection coils, dipping and baking, completing armature covering the air drying the insulation varnish, and making the complete installation testing of the armature reassembly with the motor. Testing complete motor facility with the availability to the generator, auxiliary generator. If the condition of these machines justify the dismantling, then make sure that they thoroughly inspection check all the parts for the motors. Remove the ball bearing and wash out the bearing housing. Bearings must be kept absolutely clean. Grease after assembly. 3. Blower motor. Do the same as the generator. 4. The compressor. Do the same as the generator. 5. The controller. Renew worn segments of the controller. Switch to the interlock with the reverse, etc. Inspect the air valve only on one unit. Reverse throttles mechanism. React to the trip, etc. for the wear and renew the corrective wear necessary. Inspect the pistons parts of the electro-pneumatic units. Clean all the parts thoroughly. Inspect all the cables at one point. And renew the contacts of thickness. Test and switch to the proper closing. Wipe and the contact pressure of the coating. Or seating. Battery. Observe the instruction battery manufacturer for the overall of the battery. Methods of material used for the cleaning of the grease, overhaul, dirt, and etc. electrical apparatus. For the grease solvents, benzene and petroleum naphtha, with the gasoline, less corrosive action for the insulating varnish. Either these may be used while there are no fire hazards. It should be remembered that the solvents are very inflammable, and their vapors may be mixed with the air from may be explosive. They may be used in steel buildings where ventilation is good. The unsatisfactory ventilation does not exist. It should be provided before these solvents are used. Carefully should be taken to avoid getting the clean fluids on the clothing of the workmen. Cleaning. Wipe as much possible grease, the dirt, and the oil off from the windings of the dry cloth. Clean the white rags when mentioned with the solvent, or dry the windings dry with the windings thoroughly with the cleaner. Dry cloth parts with the inaccessible edge to the hand may be cleaned with a swab moistened with a solvent. Alright, your installation tests. The new equipment, the new main generator armature circuit will include the communicating field traction motor circuit, the apparatus connected with thereto to the assembled new equipment. It should be to withstand the installation and testing of the 2500 volts alerting current from the period of 60 seconds of the ground. All contract control and auxiliary generator circuits apparatuses connected thereto to the acceptance meters and storage battery on the new equipment should be withstand 800 volts alternating current for the 60 seconds to the ground. Old equipment. On equipment that have been in service that is not considered necessary available to apply the same installation test to the new equipment. The following testings are commonly used. Main circuit is 900 to 1000 volts AC 60 seconds. Control circuit is 500 volts AC 60 seconds. And that completes the reading of the electrical diesel locomotive, electrical equipment diesel electrical locomotive, WHITCOMB locomotive. Description, operation, and maintenance. 1943. Instruction booklet.